as promised, I told you I would go see Pitch Perfect 2 and review it, so let's talk about Pitch Perfect 2. So Pitch Perfect 2 is the sequel to the first movie, Pitch Perfect, that came out in 2012. 2012 was the year that two movies came out and surprised the hell out of a lot of people. And those two movies were 22 Jump Street and Pitch Perfect. I enjoyed the first movie a lot, so when they announced that they were making a sequel, I was like, I'm not sure about that, but at the same time, I was interested. But mostly because, when it comes to movies like this, they suffer from what most people call sequelitis. However, this time around, it is directed by Elizabeth Banks, who produced the first movie, and she had a role in the first movie. So I was interested to see what she would bring to the table to this movie and how she is as a director. A lot of this movie is pretty much more the same for the first movie, but with some slight changes. So the plot of this movie is the Bard and Bellas, they're at this competition at the beginning of the film, but then something happens where they embarrass themselves. And then now they have to redeem themselves by entering this international accapella concert so that they can get reinstated. And throughout the movie, they lose their mojo, and now they have to get it back. And so they go to this camp where they learn how to work together again. And at the end of the movie, they enter the final competition. Now let's talk about some of the cast in this movie. Anna Kendrick returns as Becca in this movie, and I actually quite liked her story in this film, where while she's working with the Bellas to get their title back, she's doing this internship at this music producing company, and while the girls are trying to continue on their journey at doing a cappella, she's trying to actually have a career after school. And her boss is played by Keel from Keel and Peele, otherwise known as Barack Obama's translator. He was one of the funniest things about this movie. In fact, every time they cut to all the internship segments, I was actually cracking up a lot. The girls from the other movies return in this movie as well. You got Esther Dean, who plays that black lesbian. That quiet Asian girl returns in this movie. The, dare I say, slut from the other movie returns to this movie. But I guess that's pretty much the things about this movie is, all these girls are pretty much just stereotypes. And I don't mean racial and I don't mean gender. They're all just stereotypes. You got the lesbian, the slut, the quiet one, the weird one. However, we have the addition of Haley Steinfeld, who plays one of the new girls in this movie. Her mother is played by Katie Sagal, and she is a legacy child. And I actually quite liked her in this movie, and quite frankly, I'm really impressed with Haley Steinfeld. I know she played the girl from True Grit. I actually never saw that movie, but from all the stuff I've seen her in, I'd say she's headed in a good direction right now. Honestly, I'd say the driving force within this movie is the characters within this movie, because like I said, the plot is pretty much, again, more the same from the first movie, and it's clear that this movie is the product of the success of the first movie. And the best thing this movie can do is make it good enough that it doesn't feel like this movie was clearly made to make money. Now, I'm not saying this movie is a cash grab, but at the same time, there were some points within the movie where it's like, yeah, this movie is riding off of the success of the first movie. And some of the jokes and gags within this movie are the same, and some of the plot points within this movie are just recycled from the first movie. And there are some jokes within the movie that are kind of like, eh. Like, for example, going back to Fat Amy real quick, she has this whole side story with Adam Devine from the first movie, and it's this little side plot where the two of them are in love with each other, and it kind of slows the movie down a little bit, and it's like, alright, can we get back to the Anna Kendrick internship stuff for the acapella stuff, please? However, that doesn't mean this movie had its moments. I'd say this movie, it was pretty much, for the most part, pretty well balanced. This movie had some parts in the movie that was kind of like, oh, that was pretty good. And it had some funny moments in it. For example, in the middle section of the movie where they had the riff off, that was my favorite part of the entire movie. It's when they pretty much just have an acapella off and they have to do songs based on the subject they did. One of them was 90s hip-hop jams. I swear, I was bopping and beating my head and singing the whole time through, and by the end, I was like, I did not want it to end, and I just wanted to keep going. And I do like the theme that they have in this movie, and it's the fact that, Anna Kendrick, she's at this internship, while the Bellas, they're all trying to stay on their acapella shit. And she's like, I could be at this place. And it's I like the fact that it plays on the fact that school's not gonna last forever. We all gotta move on at some point. So I like the fact that they touch on a theme like that. And I actually quite enjoyed the finale, but I wish it could have gone on a little bit longer and kind of elaborate on it. Because it's like once we get to it, we just montage all the other teams, and then we get to the Germans, and then we finally get to the Bellas. But however, when we get to the Bellas, it's worth it though. In the end, Pitch Perfect 2 is pretty much the same as the first movie with some slight new twist. If you like the first film, you will like this movie. I won't say it's better than the first movie, it's more so on par with the first film, and it was still enjoyable. I'd say if you just go into this movie not really expecting much, you just go in accepting it for what it is and just enjoy the music and the characters and the journey they have, you will enjoy this movie. This is a movie that if it came on cable, I actually wouldn't change the channel. Otherwise, I will say Pitch Perfect 2 is a B-, for I would buy on DVD. That's it for the day. Like what you see, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my other channel. The links are in the description below. And be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. Peace.